welcome again, thy few but faithful. That's a line from Sister Act, I believe, when the Reverend looks in the church and there's like 10 people sitting in this huge church, and thy few but faithful. Amazing, but everybody who's here, thank you for coming. I'm going to put on my presentation again, hoping that technology and me will finally become friends. Yes, this is me again, actor, theater, creative, which means I not only act, but I also direct and I write and I teach theater as well. I'm on that cover, and I realize there's one meaning, it's my company's name, but there's one meaning of that word I haven't explained to you yet, because it is also a tribute to all the roles that end up on credits of movies without a name, like Guy in Elevator, or Police Constable Number 2, or Angry Customer, or all these characters that have been created, that have seen the light of day, but have never been given a name. So Monmouth Coffer, Man with Suitcase, is also sort of a tribute to those really, really small roles. And remember that word, we're going to talk about that today as well. That's why I mention it today. More people are coming in, that's amazing. Okay, so this is me. I do an art form that if you've missed it, if you weren't there, you've missed it and it's gone. The minute we speak a sentence, the same minute it's gone. It's thin air. It's playing with thin air. So if you weren't there last week, you missed it. Short flashback. We talked about visualization, painting the picture in all its detail, but really trying, if you can see it, they can see it. That was the acting principle we talked about. Don't be lazy. Really get it in all its detail and make sure you see it first before you try to transfer it to somebody else. Learn your lines is what we talked about. The importance of preparation. Learn it so well that you can forget about it. And that also gives you the power of adaptation, because you're no longer vulnerable for outside influences, because you know your stuff so well. They can ask you anything and you have the answer. And we talked about the inside-outside connection, how your brain and your emotions work together with your physical, and how everything is connected and also responds and interacts with each other. And with that, how you can manipulate that. So how you can create the emotion you need or thought you need, etc. This is what we talked about last week. Today, principles number 7, 8, and 9 until the end of this Power webinar series. And the first one I want to talk about is one I tell most of my students at the point where they are given the script. It's the principle that goes, there are no big or small roles, actors. There are no big or small roles, only big or small actors. It's a quote from Stanislavski, the acting teacher we talked about before. There are no big or small roles, only big or small actors. What most actors do when they get their script, they start counting the lines. And then they start comparing the amount of lines they have with how much the other guy has. And it's sort of a game where you want the most. We all want the lead part. We all want to be the leading role of the play. I don't know why, that's human nature, I don't know. But we are so focused on this. And now there is this guy who said there are no big or small roles, only big or small actors. This is about how serious you take your craft and how much difference you can make even in a small role. And I always say this to young actors, you know there is an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. There's a reason for that. Even the smallest role can make a difference. The smallest role, by the way, can also destroy the play. If even the smallest role makes a mistake or messes it up, that's what people will remember. No matter how good all the other actors were, they will remember that. And on the positive side as well, if you take it seriously and you do the work for any part as good as you will do for the leading part, you will be noticed. And the picture you see is a wonderful drawing of an actor I admire a lot, Philip Seymour Hoffman, the king of preparation. And there is a legend, a behind the scenes story. I don't know if it really actually happened, but knowing the way he prepares it might certainly have. It's back in the day before he had a career, and he was in this small theater company, really unknown to anybody, really small amateur dramatics, and he was playing a tree, third tree from the right or something, really small part in his younger years before his career. But he drove his fellow actors nuts. Why? Because he kept asking what type of tree he was playing, because it mattered to him if it was a birch or an oak, because an oak is a big strong tree and a birch is a pioneer, and etc. And he analyzed it to the core while he was playing a tree with like 2 lines in the whole play, and it drove him nuts. And he said, Philip, just say your lines. What are you doing? He considered any role as important as the leading role, as the big role. And why? If your character would not have reason and purpose, he was never written. If your role, if your character would not have something to do in the story, he was never written. So turn it around and not think, oh, this isn't really an expendable role. This is about ego as well. No, find the reason and the purpose. Why is this role in the play? Why is this person in the story? What is he doing here? Why is he here? What is his goal? What is his purpose? What is his reason? There has to be one, otherwise it would have been 2 trees on the right. Why is there a third one? Why is this character in the story? There has to be a reason and a purpose. This is how you can look at life as well, all right? At your business as well. What is the reason and the purpose? Because otherwise it's pointless. Otherwise I'm not in the game. There has to be. And this is the work you do as an actor. Find that reason, find the purpose, and take it seriously. Because if you do, you can make a difference. Back to the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress or Actor. Judi Dench, if you don't know her, look her up. Amazing English actress. She once won an Oscar for a part in a 2.5-hour movie that altogether was 8 minutes. 8 minutes in a 2.5-hour movie. It was the role of Elizabeth in Shakespeare in Love. She won an Oscar for it. Why? Because it mattered to her. She took it seriously, and she approached it as if it was a leading role. And it got noticed. It made a difference. Even bigger than that, Anthony Hopkins once won an Oscar for Silence of the Lambs for Best Actor in a Leading Role. His role in a 2-hour movie was only 18 minutes. But he made such an impact, taking it so seriously, that they considered even a leading role. If you are in a business and you're always, you consider yourself small, you will stay small. You will not be noticed. Only if you mess up, the example I gave, and that's what people will remember. But you will never get noticed. And find your reason and purpose, because there has to be one. Otherwise, you're not in the game. And this is also part of what I want to say about this, is that you are part of an ecosystem. Any play that I've ever made or any play that I have ever been in, I consider an ecosystem. And it can only function if all these species that are there, they're there for a reason. From the smallest fungi to the biggest tree and to the animals living in it, they are all in balance. And they all have a certain part to play, even if we don't understand it, even if we don't see them. We don't see the fungi, but they're extremely important because they bring the nutrients to the soil and they make the trees grow. Even if we don't know what the purpose is yet, there has to be one. Also, the smallest species can mess it up, because if the fungi is an exotic species, for example, doesn't belong in that ecosystem, it takes over everything and becomes a virus and everything is destroyed, like the smallest part can do in a play. So if your business isn't working the way you want it to be, or if things aren't thriving, if you can't get things to really, really go the way you want them to go, look at your ecosystem. What is going on there? What elements, what species in my system don't belong there, or aren't thriving because they lack a certain nutrient, or they lack they have to be standing next to the other species because they help each other out. He's only taking the nutrients that the other one, etc. This is how an ecosystem works. Every play is an ecosystem. We all work together on a tight balance that is easily disrupted. But if we all do our part, if we know our reason and purpose, and if we execute our reason and purpose, everybody thrives. So this is why I love theater. Principle number 8, one to the last. The deviant inspires. The first time a director said this to me, I hope all the Dutch people know what deviant means. It's the one thing that is different from the rest. Deviant inspires. Het afwijkende inspireert. That's how she said it to me in Dutch. And said, what do you mean? And I'm gonna stop sharing so you can look at me. And she gave the example of an old house. And in these old houses, you had for the man of the house, in the old households, 1930s, they had above the jackets, they had a shelf with all the hats on it. The black hat for Sunday, and the gray hat, and the brown hat. And she said, imagine a shelf like that with all the hats on it. And then like a hat, an apple, a hat. So, sorry, an apple? She said, that's the one thing you notice. You don't see the hats, you don't see the jackets because they're always there. They are what they're supposed to be, but you do see the apple because it's different than the rest. If you want to draw the attention of the audience, do something different than the rest. If I have a series of lessons with students, in one of the first lessons, I give them the assignment to, we do an improv. And I give them the assignment to give it all, to show them what they got and to show their talent, etc. And they all do a great job, you know, they have great emotions and good lines, and they all work really, really hard. There's a lot of energy. And then I say, okay, stop. Who do you think I, as an audience, have looked at the most? And then they look around and well, the ones who are very secure of themselves say, well, me, because well, I was doing this and this. It was my intent for you to look at me, so I succeeded. And another guy says, well, maybe her, because she was really great in the emotions, and the line that she said was so beautiful. I said, no, you're all wrong. My attention was drawn by that fella there, sitting in a corner, not knowing what to do, and why. He was the only one who was silent. You were all energetic and all emotional, and he was just sitting there. And that is what drew my attention. And he probably thinks that he was doing nothing and that he was failing the assignment. But he is actually the one who now, for me as an audience, is making me curious. Why is he not speaking? Why is he so silent? Why is he observing? And all these questions keep popping up. He's deviant from the rest. He's the apple between the hats. And that's the spark of inspiration. If you want to inspire people, be different than the rest. Choose the counter color. Well, that's a word we use a lot as actors. Don't do what is already on stage. Don't do what the audience is already seeing, like anger. I do anger too, because he's angry. That's not interesting. It's boring. If I want to draw the attention, if I want to inspire my audience, I choose a different emotion. I go do something else. Not to be a rebel, but to spark inspiration. That's how you do it. And if you don't have an idea how to do that, the simple trick is to be authentic. There's only one you. Well, maybe if you have an identical twin, there's two of you, but then still there's a difference. Uriah has one, yeah. But still you're different. There's only one you. So if you can be authentic, the attention will be drawn to you. People will notice and you will grow because, hey, you have their curiosity, you have their attention. And well, artists are branded as rebels, but it's how we guide an audience through a story. First, we feed them with what we know they know. You know, we paint a picture they know they can acquaint themselves with, that they recognize themselves in. Maybe it's something they know, and then we change it. That's how inspiration starts. And inspiration is something people will always remember. I talked about Hamlet, right? And the actor and the director who said first week or second week, I forgot. But that she asked me, well, what do you want to add to the part? And I said, well, I had this whole story about blah, 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 and all these acting things. And she said, no, it's never been done by you. That's exactly what she meant. Be different than what's already been. And if you don't have an idea how to do that, just be you. Simple as that. Everybody can do that. The deviant inspires, always. It's what people's attention is drawn to. And this also goes back, we talked before this, we talked about the primal instinct. It's what comes from this. We have to recognize the tiger between the grass. If we don't, we get eaten. So this is how our brains are programmed from very, 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 very early mankind. So you can use this for your business, for your life. And it's also fun to do. It's fun to go against. It's fun to show people that there is another solution, that there is another way, that there is a different side of the truth. So this is what we artists show you, and I hope you can use for real life. I have to do this and then this. Oh, the last one, principle number 9. You cannot play cannot. Or it's impossible to do nothing, to say it a bit more simple. You cannot play cannot. What does that mean? I once worked with an actor and I said, okay, what is your role about? Or how do you approach it? He said, yeah, well, he doesn't do that and that. I said, oh, okay, now my character wouldn't do that. I said, oh, okay, it's non-informative to me. So what do you mean? I said, well, what you did is we had 60,000 choices. And now we have 59,999 choices. So we just eliminated one, but that's nothing. You cannot play cannot. I cannot play what my character is not doing. We have to make a choice to be able to create. We have to make choices. Any play, any film is just a line of choices that are made. Why? Because we have a certain time frame. We have a certain limitation in which we have to tell the story. So we have to be really, really aware of the choices that we make because they mean something. We put them on a stage, we put light on them, so they have a certain importance. We have to know which choices are we making now because they're part of a story. But it means you always have to choose the yes. You have to know, what does my character do? What are the actions he's undertaking? I cannot play what he's not doing. I cannot play what he's considering to do, what he attempts to do, what he tries to do. I can't act that. I can only act what he does. That's it. It's impossible to do nothing. And young actors sometimes step on stage and they have not made a choice yet. And what I see as an audience is somebody who's not knowing what to do. That's the best I can make of it. If I want to save them and be positive, I say, okay, what I see is somebody who's not knowing what he's doing. Is that what you mean? Is that what you need for the scene? No, it's not. He meant something else. Of course, he meant something else. But you cannot play cannot. So in real life, if you're not an actor, only think in actions. What can I do? What is an action I can undertake to solve this, whatever it is I'm struggling with? Focus on possibilities, not on, yeah, I can't do that, I can't do that as well. You know what, never mind, I'm never going to fix it. No, focus on possibilities. And there are like 1,000 choices every second. Make clear choices. And you see what happens after that. You never know. Even if we've rehearsed a play like 100 times, we still surprise each other every night because we're different every night. So you never know what happens. But if you don't make a choice, nothing happens. And you cannot create anything because you're not making a choice. So make clear choices and see what happens. And know and trust in the fact that you will have enough skills to fix whatever is coming, whatever the consequences are of your choices. But think in actions. It's a verb, it's to act. The job we do is a verb. Because I cannot reenact something that I'm not doing. It's simply impossible. So this is the mindset of an actor. Only think in actions. Focus on possibilities, on what you can do, not on what you cannot. You cannot play cannot. It's impossible. You're not half pregnant. No, you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. Okay, and if you are pregnant, what does that do for the scene and for the play, etc.? This is how it works. You're not half dead. Well, maybe if you play a zombie, then okay, bad example. But you know what I mean. You cannot play cannot. It's impossible. We talked about the way out of crisis is always a creative one. That was one of the first slides of the first day. The way out of crisis is always a creative one. And how do you get there? Don't attempt and don't try, just act. I cannot make it more simple than that. And whatever you do, it will help you at least one step further, maybe 10, maybe 20, but sometimes a step back, but then you make another choice and you act on your choice. But nothing happens if you don't do anything, if you don't act on whatever it is you're struggling with, or you're working on, or any idea. Don't attempt. Attempting is nothing. Trying is nothing. Act. Acting is the key. All right. Mindset ideas. And the last quote, of course, is not by me, but it's like a thought I wanted to give you before we say the end. It's by Martha Graham. Martha Graham is now known as one of the leading ladies of modern dance. And she was once very annoyed by an interviewer who asked her, but Miss Graham, aren't you getting a little bit too old to, do acting and to do dancing and make choreographies? And then she replied, no, you don't grow too old to dance. You grow old because you stop dancing. So this is the best tip I can give people, the best advice I can give people. Keep on dancing, find that spark in yourself that Hans asked before we started. I said, do you want to start? Do you like to do what you're about to do? I said, no, because it's also very scary, and but the reason why we keep on doing it's because it's so fun to do, to play or to dance or to make music or to whatever it is, but to find a creative outing. It opens. Singing, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but singing is the only thing we know that activates all the centers in your brain. If you sing one song a day, you don't see a doctor anymore. Well, that's maybe exaggerating it a little bit, but it's really, really healthy for you to do that, to find a creative outing. So never stop dancing. Never stop playing, never stop acting, never stop painting. Never stop whatever it is you like to do, sculpting. I don't care. But it's so healthy and so fun to do and so great to do. So just as a piece of advice for Mrs. Martha Graham, if you stop dancing, you get old. So I've given you 9 acting principles. There are like 152 something, I don't know. Oh, there's a lot to say, but I took these 9 and I hope that you got something out of it, and it taught you something. And well, this is it. This is the end. But I assure you, we will be back in some other shape or form. So keep IMN close and watch them and join them. Why not? So thank you. Goodbye. Oh, and I promised Claudia something, by the way, and I said I'm going to tell you what the hell I'm doing here, and I forgot to mention it. The picture on the right. I once did a play based on the myth of Perseus, the Greek half god, and there's a whole sequence in Delphi. And in the ancient Greek stories, Delphi was the place to go to. There was an oracle there that did predictions, and it's in a lot of the Greek stories and myths, because sometimes a thing she said made 2 countries go to war or not go to war. Or she really put a stamp on Greek history, at least in the fiction side of it. And this is me playing the oracle. because there was some sort of a crack in the foundations of the rock, and this toxic volcanic smoke was sort of bringing her in an LSD sort of state of mind that made her do these predictions that were then interpreted by priests, so the kings and queens, kings and generals could understand it. This is my interpretation of the Oracle of Delphi. So I promised you that, Claudia. So this was it. Now it's the end.
Wow. I'm always speechless after your
Good,
presentation. So can anybody else talk, please?
good. No, if I work with students, most of them aim at the applause, and when they think they've reached success with the play or the thing they're doing, because they get a lot of applause, I say no, 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 no. The best applause you can get is silence. If you are finished and the audience is like, then you know you did an amazing job, because there's still process still in your fictional reality. They're still processing it. They don't know how to react because they're full of it. That's the best applause you can get. A silence actually is the best applause you can get. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. Tell me. Questions.
I
Makeup
don't
one. Yeah.
I don't have a question,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed the last part, and this part really it's amazing because it's resetting yourself again. What I realized is to be authentic. I remember because it brought me a little bit, well, to the past. I remembered in the past when I was like more insecure, I couldn't be authentic because people couldn't handle me. So what I did is adapt to the environment. But now I'm learning more and more by being authentic, you can inspire people on your own way and not be like a copycat or like what I did, like don't be there, just pretend I'm not there,
Mhm,
because I'm
mhm.
too much. So I learned a lot about that. So thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I recognize a lot of what you're saying because I have the same. And it's hard sometimes because you are the I felt like an alien sometimes.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
And
you
so what you
understand.
do is pure survival mode. Well, you're part of this group, so you have to adapt a little bit because otherwise they will throw you out, which literally happens. I mean, a lot of kids are bullied and are really pushed out of the group. This is an old principle. It's yeah, of course you adapt. Um, yeah, but I love this journey because I recognize a lot of it's been sort of my journey as well. Um, but later on, you learn that these people only want you to look like them for how you started the thing you were saying, because they can't handle and anybody else being so much stronger and so much more confident than that. And a lot of times when there is an imbalance, there's actually two movements that people can do. If you see somebody who is bigger, better, further, stronger than you, what most people do is kick them down. They kick
Yes.
this chair, that's what happened to you. And they try to
Oh,
drag you to their
yes.
level because you're too, this is really what a lot, what happens in the Netherlands a
I
lot. They
know.
don't
I
want you to
know.
be, that they chop your head off.
That's why
But
I left. That's why I left.
I'm considering, but the other movement is that you pull people up. And that's what good teachers do. That's what people you get inspiration from. That's what these people do. They take you along and they try to pull you up. Or what you can do is, okay, I'm not pushing this person down. No, I'm seeing what he's doing, and I try to climb, climb on his back and sit on his shoulder and try to get there. And it's
Yes.
always either people kicking you down or people trying to pull themselves up.
True.
And it's a positive
True.
negative energy of the same thing, but people want balance. And if you are different than the rest, the thing that I just advised you to be, it's hard for people to accept. Yeah.
Oh yes.
They
I,
need,
And
I love what then I love what Danielle is writing in the chat. Be
oh,
yourself.
sorry. Yeah.
Everyone else is taken. That's exactly the thing.
Be yourself.
that's
Everyone
funny.
else is taken. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, but I get so frustrated from time to time when people, especially in the Netherlands, they see actors as fake. So I always turn it around. I said, no, 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 no. What I do on stage, that's true. That's authentic. And I have the courage to show it. But all the other ones, they are the fakers. They stay with people. They tell people that they love them who they don't love anymore. They stay in relationships they don't see any future in. They are actually the pretenders. I'm not a pretender. I am an actor. I am a person who does certain actions in a certain order that a story appears and that you get maybe inspiration from or not. But that is real. I'm not fake. No, the reality is fake. Yeah. It's always this battle between fiction and reality. Yeah. You talked about how you have to be able to pretend as a human being to survive. That's what Awa said as well. Yeah.
You guys, I wanted to thank you so much, Claudia, first of all, for hosting, and Laurens, thank you so much for a beautiful presentation. Unfortunately, I have to go now, but thank you so much for the 3 beautiful presentations, and I really enjoyed them.
Good, good. Thank you.
Thank
Danielle,
you.
for
Have a nice
coming.
weekend, everybody.
Yeah. Bye-bye.